Hello everyone and welcome to another round commentary for the third annual US Women's Senior Chess Championship. I'm WGM Sabina Foisor. Very excited to bring you today's matchups and rounds, 2 rounds remaining from this competition. I hope you've enjoyed my stream so far. If you did, don't forget to follow US Chess on all the social media accounts. A lot of these videos are usually being posted on YouTube as well, so you can always go back and recheck things that have happened. Aside from that, US Chess is also creating quite a few very interesting podcasts where we interview people who use chess as a means to continue to empower people, enrich lives. Aside from that, there's quite a lot of material that educational material that you might enjoy, specifically openings, but also just instructional videos. And I'm sure there's more to come. And until then, I hope you're enjoying these streams and you join in to follow the next big competition organized by US Chess, and which is going to be streamed by me. Is going to be the Great Championships, which take place in December, the weekend of 13. I think it's 12th, 13th, and 14th of December. They take place in Spokane. And actually, if you know anyone else who's interested in registering for those tournaments, please make sure you have them do so as soon as possible. On Monday, there will be an increase in the entry fee, so you want to try to do it before. But enough talks about future things. I'll have the time to to bring that up more later, but right now we are on round 4, and so far in the US Women's Senior Championships we have one player with 3 out of 3, and that is woman grandmaster Angelina Belakovskaya. She's had a great tournament so far. She's represented US at quite a few Olympiads in the past, and she's 3 times US Women's Champion. So she's currently leading. She did have a nice win last night against the defending champion, woman FIDE master Natalia Tsodikova. But there are 2 more rounds for this tournament, so anything can happen. Right now, Angelina is paired against woman FIDE master Chuchanik Ayrapetyan. Chuchanik is on 2.5, so this is going to be an interesting matchup. On board 2, we'll have Natalia Tsodikova with 2 points paired against Mary Kuner, who's on 1.5. But the only other player who had 2 points, Olga Sagalchik, has already played Natalia, so that's why we have the pairing like that. So 1 player with 3 points, 1 player with 2.5, and 2 players with 2 points. The rest have 1, or we have a player with who has not scored yet. But let's see what today's round will bring. And without further ado, I'm excited to get into the action. So on board 1, we have Chuchanik starting with e4. And by the way, please, if there are any issues with the microphone or anything, please don't hesitate to let me know as soon as possible, because we want to make sure nothing is going to affect my delivery of today's round and my commentaries. So we had the Caro-Kann. I see Angelina is typically playing various openings. I think Caro-Kann is one of her main ones. And here we have main line so far c3, and here queen c7. Now with white in these positions, when we are playing the exchange variation, typically what we are trying to do is find ways to take control over this diagonal, and specifically the e5 square as well. Black oftentimes tries to play e5, and it can be a bit scary having to deal with that, even if we stay with an IQP, isolated queen's pawn. That is, black is the one who has more space because they actually do remain with a pawn in the center. So white is trying to stop black from playing e5, and oftentimes they put the knight in f3, bishop in f4, castle, knight bd2, puts a rook in e1 or the queen in e2, and at some point even we often see the move knight e5. looking at this position, it might be reminiscent to you about the Carlsbad pawn structure. And in fact, it is just that with reverse colors. This is the reason why I always recommend people, whenever they're studying openings or studying different ideas, to make sure that they spend the time to compare things that they know with things that they don't, and compare specific openings, because really you never know what you might encounter, and what something, just having a knowledge of a plan in a specific position might help you know how to develop a plan in something else. So anyways, here d5 was played, queen c7, h3. h3 is an interesting choice by white, basically, because black doesn't show whether they're going to play with e6 or g6 yet. Black has also the opportunity to do that in case, e5 is not the choice for the kind of position that results, which is going to be an IQP. If you'd rather not play a position with an isolated pawn, then you can, of course, choose to develop the bishop in different fashions. But oftentimes, like when we're playing the Caro-Kann, a big thing for choosing that opening, as opposed to the French, for example, which is e6 first move, the bishop in c8, we want to get it out, right? So black oftentimes takes this bishop out either in f5 or in g4. And if white plays the natural move knight f3, which stops somewhat the push, or at least controls the e5 square, then black has the opportunity to pin the knight and, of course, restrict the control over the e5 square, and who knows, maybe at some point play e5. And so that is the reason why white ended up playing h3, but h3 can also be considered a waste of time. Now, there is an alternative to this in trying to control e5, but if we're not going to play knight f3 directly, there's no direct way to control it yet, but we can be tricky in a way by playing the move knight e2. So with the knight in e2, if bishop g4 were to be played, we will have the opportunity to play f3 with white, chasing the bishop away. And then what does the knight do in e2? Because obviously that's not the best placement for it. What it does is it controls the f4 square. So we'll have the opportunity in a couple of moves, or maybe just immediately, to play bishop f4, a move that would control the e5 square, or place the knight in f4 to put pressure on d5 and make black push the pawn in e6. Yes, Sam Shankland is the only American who has remained in the World Cup. It's very exciting. I know Sam for many years, and it's very exciting to see that he went through the next round. I'm looking forward to see how he's gonna play. He's definitely had his ups and downs, and always a person to follow for his work ethic and the amount of time that he puts to work into things. And it's always nice to me to hear, or I don't know how I feel about it always, but he always tries to come up with new things to learn, and he learns them for himself. And by spending a lot of time learning things for himself, then he goes on to create a course to share that knowledge with others. And I think it's a cool way to do things. So shout out to Sam for sure, Sam Shankland, for making it to the next round. Now back to our tournament here. So knight e2 helps with the development of the knight or the bishop. And what can we do here? Maybe black will not go for or it depends if they want, like I said, to have the isolated pawn. This is certainly an option. Knight takes, and then white can play the move bishop f4 in this position, bishop d6. And here we have to decide what to do with the bishop, because black will be threatening to take it. So we can give this check, bishop d7. We might need to trade it. And this position may be quite interesting to play for sure. Of course, white can also consider grabbing this pawn. but black is usually getting initiative. I don't know exactly what is the best way to do so. Maybe knight f6, castle, white still with the king in the center for a bit, but you know, it is an option. That's why a lot of people in this position after knight e2, they don't actually go for e5. They prefer to go e6 or bishop g4. But then again, with white, you've done something bad for yourself in a way. The knight is not developed on f3 where it controls a lot of squares. Instead, it's on e2. But you stopped e5. So always a trade-off. As you get to be stronger, you'll find out what you like more in the position and what is best to choose for your best understanding on how to proceed in every game. All right, but let's catch up with the game. So h3 was played, and Angelina chose to play g6. Okay, so she's going for the fianchetto of the bishop in g7, which means that e5 is not going to happen. Okay, so we'll see probably knight f3 now, because the pawn was played in h3 for a reason, and the reason is to bring in the knight to f3 and not allow the opponent to pin it. And then we'll see. Now, personally, I have played this opening on a number of occasions with both colors, mostly with black. And I remember the first time I did this, I actually allowed my opponent to get pretty much everything. The knight was coming to f3, castle, rook e1, bishop g5, queen d2, bishop f4. And there's just so many good moves for white in this position. So it was certainly not the funniest experience for me. I ended up losing that game. So then I learned, right? This is what you want to do when you're playing an opening that is your main one, and let's say you're surprised with something and you're not sure what's going to happen. Trust me, you have to double check things to make sure next time you're playing it, you're not going to make the same mistakes. So here, after knight f3, I think the best approach for black is to play bishop f5. Before you develop the bishop, or even you can play bishop g7, but just make sure you play this move bishop f5. Black needs to trade that bishop, and don't be too worried about the capture. The pawn recaptures, then black plays e6, and these pawns will all be protecting one another. And of course, the bishop gets developed in g7, knight f6. We can potentially castle, king h8. We have the g file, but don't expect any attacks for black, and don't get too scared if you're playing this position with the white pieces. But really, like this is something that I believe black should play to get to equalize first. Now, it is always tricky because I know a lot of us want to get something out of the opening. We need to try to find ways to get the advantage because, especially if we're the stronger player. And there's always so many things to discuss, psychology, chess preparation, and everything. And so personally, I try to look who my opponent is, and I try to study a bit their style. And if I have an idea of what they may they may play, then I may choose to do things one way or another. And so if I really want to play for a win, I sometimes don't equalize the position first. I try to find an imbalance, and then maybe the engine doesn't evaluate the position as fully equal as 0-0, but it evaluates it with chances for both sides. And even if one side has a bit of an advantage, we're not computers. When we play, we will make mistakes. So yeah, so it's kind of interesting actually to know about these things and make your decision based on how you feel yourself that you should improve. This is a formation with double pawns that's very misunderstood. Yeah, hi Mike. Yeah. So of course it is misunderstood sometimes, and it's hard to play for positional players. Sometimes we want to keep a good pawn formation, but I think it is important to play bishop f5. I've tried to keep my bishop in c8, and I can tell you, if you are going to play eventually e6 or just keep the bishop in d7, you are not only not doing something good for your bishop, but you're also restricting the rest of your pieces, putting the bishop in d7. So you have to be mindful about those things. And and try to figure out ways to improve. But it looks that in this game, Chuchanik decided to play knight a3 first, so she's attracting the move a6, definitely, and after that this knight will be brought to c2. But I still think that, considering she played h3, the chances are that she's going to play knight f3, I presume. Like, I don't know if she has other things in mind, but yeah. Okay, let's catch up with board 2. So we have women's FIDE master Natalia Tsodikova, the defending champion. She is going for a close Sicilian, and knight c6, bishop g2, everything looks natural so far, rook e1, and c3. In these types of positions where black does not play d5 and trying to get more center, white is the one who's trying to get more, and c3 is supporting the push of the pawn to d4 immediately. And as for black, okay, I was about to say, for black in these positions, they have nothing in the center. They have no pawn in the center. And I often like to tell my students, listen, you cannot let your opponent have 2 pawns in the center and you staying with nothing. So you need to find a way to push one of the pawns in the center to give yourself a little bit of space, and also kind of set up the position in such a way that you know on which side of the board you're going to attack. So here, d5 is usually what black plays, and attracts white to make a decision. By putting pressure in e4, white needs to decide, are they going to take, are they going to push e5? Both of the moves are possible. We can also try to protect the pawn by playing the move knight to c3. But then if we do play knight c3, for example, we are allowing black to capture in e4, and that's going to allow us to have an isolated pawn. It's a possibility. I personally wouldn't want to play it, but it is a possibility for sure of what we can do. Taking would allow also black to recapture with the knight, which would still keep us with an isolated pawn. So I think, you know, if you take these moves by elimination, you will get to the correct move. I think this is the correct move. The others are possible, of course, as well. To me, this is the correct move in the position. White is going for a close Sicilian in a way where they have the fianchetto bishop, the knight will move away, and then we'll have plans eventually with pushing the f-pawn. We'll see where they lead, but that's typically what we want. So knight c3, and white's gonna focus on kingside attack. Yes, I'm sipping some fancy coffee. Not fancy, like it's just not regular coffee. I always get something sweet when I stream, if possible. A little bit of adrenaline, you know, from the sugar is good. I do have a lot of energy though, so this is just bringing an extra Sabina. Not that I wasn't extra before. If I mean adult students, no, I teach my students in a similar fashion, whether they're adults or kids. We have different ways, in my opinion, of approaching things or learning things, whether we are like younger or more, you know, adults or seniors. Chess is for everyone. So I have a similar approach in my personal teaching. But I am aware that there are different ways of learning for different groups, in my opinion. So just keep in mind, although, you know, I'm streaming an official stream and everything, a lot of the ideas that I share, especially for teaching, are my personal own. You know, I'm not saying my ideas are the best, but I just want to make that clear, that that I of course will share my teaching opinions. If it's something tricky to discuss, I avoid the subject, but for teaching, I'm always happy to share my personal opinions that have been developed through a lot of years of being a professional player, coming from a chess family, and then what I've learned from, let's say, maybe 10 more than 10 years of coaching. So yeah. Okay. So moving on, let's see what we got in on the next board. We had a Sicilian as well, it looks like. So we had an Alapin, knight f6, knight f3, bishop e7, takes, castle, bishop f4. Okay, that's an interesting placement of the bishop. Now, when we have an isolated pawn, a position with an isolated pawn, there are a few characteristics you have to be familiar with. The pawn by itself would be defined as a weakness, right? Because it's an isolated pawn, it's by itself. It can never, well, it can in some situations, but it won't be protected by another pawn for a while unless you make a trade for a pawn to get closer. And because it is a weakness, usually you want to trade it off. But you can also utilize it as a strength. So the strength of the isolated pawn usually lies in the fact that it gives white more space, or whoever has the isolated pawn. In this case, it's white. And it gives basically here two nice outposts. They're not forever outposts. They're great squares for potential knight placement. Usually e5 is the one that's utilized the most. And then because it is central, it also gives more space. And we tend to have the ability to put pressure on these two diagonals with the bishop, sometimes creating a mating net. And then also if we put the knight in e5 and the rook in e1 or queen in e2, for example, we'll have the ability to capture in f7 in some situations, and then queen takes e6, right? So we'll have the ability to put a lot of pressure on the opponent, potentially attacking and such. But black is not going to stay and wait for us to do everything, right? So they often find ways to either block this pawn or attack it. Black wants to trade a lot of minor pieces so that white doesn't have the ability to utilize them all for the attack. And then an additional idea for white is to put this bishop on g5, having it there, and sometimes, being able to capture this knight. If we have a battery on the b1 h7 diagonal, then deflecting the knight would lead to a checkmate. So quite a few ideas are present in these types of positions. You have to be aware of them, and as where you're playing, there's always a fight. And while you are familiar with the ideas, everyone is going to try to stop the other one from doing what the main plans are. That's why it's important to know them. But looks like bishop f4 was played in this position. So this is a move that I don't often see. The bishop tends to go to g5 in general, or maybe on e3, one of those two squares. Hi, Casual, how's it going? I'm doing all right. Trying my best to to discuss as many pawn structures as possible for this round. I guess that's what we're having so far, different pawn structures that are important to know. So rook d1 and knight e5. Okay, so Varinia is familiar with a lot of these ideas, I can see. And now she's probably going to go for bishop g3. I would not give up my dark square bishop. I would probably retreat it here. Now, if black ever chooses to take, it actually helps us a bit because we're bringing a pawn closer to the center. And I personally enjoy this position quite a bit for white. Oh, she did play, and this is the current position. All right. So black has done a good job, in my opinion, to block the pawn. And now we'll have to see how she continues. I wouldn't capture the knight. I would probably proceed with the development of the bishop. Playing a move like b5 is probably not going to be as great because white also has the ability to try to get that bishop. We don't want to trade, but in some situations we may. So I would go bishop d7, rook c8. The bishop sometimes goes to c6. It's something we can do. Okay, goody. On board 4, we have another Sicilian. So it's the day of the Sicilians today. With g6. Okay, so close Sicilian with g6. Yes, I got a lot of rest. I got a lot of rest last night. I slept early. The night before was tough because I arrived on Thursday here, and I did get a bit jet lagged. I stayed up too long on Thursday night, and then Friday the round started at 7 p.m. local time, which would have been 9 Eastern. And then by the time I went to bed, it was 1, and yeah, it wasn't enough. But I'm feeling better today. Thank you. Thank you for noticing. Okay, F4. Knight f3, good. Very nice development by white here, and knight e2. I think this is a kind of position that I'm always looking forward to seeing. I have a student who plays this, and I don't play it, but every time my student plays this position, it's not going very well. And the engine is not going to help you understand this position. So we're always analyzing new moves and different moves, and we forget about the engine there for a bit, because if you're going to keep an eye on the bar, it will show advantage for black, and it's quite interesting to me as to why that is. It's probably because white doesn't have like great pushes here, and black gets a bit more space, and I believe that's the reason. But it's really hard sometimes to find moves, so it's always interesting to me to look at games that are played in this line and learn new things. And I do recommend you to do something similar if you're struggling with a specific opening. Now, some of the ideas that I'm familiar with are, of course, like playing c3, d4 is a plan, but a lot of the times white is trying to focus on the king side to try to build up an attack. And so you do want to do something like h3, maybe king h2, g4, knight g3, and then maybe go for f5, or g5, chase the knight away, and then f5. Something like this tends to be played from the white's perspective. Black does something similar on the other side with these pawns marching forward. If you play c3, b4 will be played. Black wants to trade here, open up the bishop. Sometimes queen e5 is also played, of course. We need to get the queen out, and white is going directly towards the king. Black circles around to try to get to white's king. So it does take a little bit of time to get in these in those positions for both sides to really know exactly how to proceed. But yeah, like we'll look at this game, and maybe I'll learn a thing or two. It will be nice to do that. Okay, and the last board. Oh, really? Okay, you should send me that video, casual, on my account, of course, not this one. If you don't mind, I'm not familiar with it. Talking about Dubov, Sam Shankland has just eliminated him, so that's pretty good. Go Team USA! I'm wearing the USA team jacket, all in support for Sam. But no, but also, of course, we want. It would be great if Sam would qualify for the candidates. I think he still has a chance, right? Because I believe so. So it would be amazing if we'd have another American. Okay. So this is the current position here. And what was this? What opening was this? Also close Sicilian. Okay. So Sicilian and 1 Caro-Kann. This idea with knight d4 has been always interesting to me because I'm thinking, how important is this for black to put the knight in d4? White was not threatening to play d4 just yet, and even after knight e2 or knight f3, white will not be threatening. I mean, white will be, but then you can play knight d4. So I usually like to see a move like knight d7 being played first, or maybe like rook b8 to try to play b5, b4. I personally wouldn't go for knight d4, but this might be something that Shernaz had prepared for this round. Ah, okay, she wanted to switch the pawn structure, so she went for e5. Yeah, that's why originally I thought this was an e4, e5 opening. But here what we see is a lot of pawn pushes for black, and we'll have to come back to this game and see how they proceed. I noticed Sharnaz is spending a lot of time thinking in this position. So far in her game, she hasn't spent as much time, so it's of course tough for her because she did lose 3 games. But Queen c8. I worry about black's development here. I mean, it's important to get some pieces out. 97 and I don't know where black should castle personally yet, because h5 was played and white is ready to play bishop h6 if you do choose to castle short. If you castle long, maybe there will be attacks with b4 as well. So this is not my cup of tea, cup of cake, like I like to say on my channel. I feel that if with black you want to play e5, I feel that you should play it directly first of all. Like, why waste time? Why waste time to bring the knight like that? And I mean, okay, maybe you're deflecting this knight so it cannot go to d5, but I think it's a bit too much time wasted. So, like, in this position, I would like I said, rook b8 or knight e7. I think there were more than a bit of wastes of time, like e6, e5, 94, 96. h5 I also don't like, personally. Black needs to develop. I mean, she's trying to avoid bishop h6. I hear the reasoning, but in a position where you have these pawns locked in on e4 and e5 respectively, you can castle, and then any trades you recapture, and then, you know, if white is trying to attack with h4, you can always play f5, and it's a nice way of opening up your side, so you can bring in the queen to defend. You're opening up the 7th rank, and you can attack on your own terms as well. And considering that there were so many pawns on dark squares, it's fine that black is trading that bishop, but yeah. Okay. So queen c8 was played there. It's not easy for me to know black's plan in this position. She's delaying it too much. I wonder if with white we can just go f4. I like f4. Right? I mean, it's a nice way of giving ourselves a bit more space, no? Yeah, Alexey could get into a much better position there. Okay, we've had a few developments. Look at that. Bishop f5 was played. That was a move that I suggested, but I thought black should play e6 to stop knight b5, but maybe we just don't care. Maybe we just don't care about the attack of the queen, that is. Takes. Okay, queen f3. Okay, black is going to play e6 anyway, so I don't think queen f3 is really necessary. I like this move, with the same idea that I shared earlier, putting the bishop out in f4. And actually, now that the pawns are doubled, we'll actually have the ability to play g4 too. So that might be interesting, actually. I would like that. Okay. So Natalia went for e5 and we stopped around here. What is the best movement of the knight? Of course, the natural is to put it in d7, but we can also go knight e4, I think, here. It's a bit more unpleasant for white, because if you do play knight c3, we can actually capture, and yes, we've strengthened your center, but we've also created a weakness for you. What is it that I'm drinking? I'm drinking some latte. It's nothing to, you know, latte with some caramel. I don't know. Not trying to promote that necessarily that much. Oh, thanks for being here, Sports Bear. Okay. Okay. Knight d7, knight c3, f6, huh? Yes, I am. I have an account on Twitter or X. So does US Chess. You should definitely follow to stay notified with recent articles being published or results from various tournaments, stream notifications occasionally, and such. I think f6 is definitely weakening a6. I was not considering to play f6 yet for black. I don't know if we should go for a6, b5. As an idea, rook b8 could be a thing to try to get b5 in, but it's a bit slow here. I'm not sure what's your question about, Wind. This is the official account. I'm sharing on the official account of the US Chess Federation. And you can follow US Chess Federation on all social media accounts. There's a comment for it. There it is. And I recommend checking out the YouTube page. A lot of these streams are being reposted there, so you can always go back and watch. If you missed something and you feel you want to catch up with anything, there's a lot of educational videos being posted, but also some other things relating maybe ratings or information for tournament directors, and educational videos, tournament reports, podcasts. Definitely highly recommend checking out the 3 podcasts. I think there's a comment for that too, or potentially, I don't know if there's one for, I think I didn't make one, but yeah. you want to follow me, if you want to follow me, you can follow my Twitch. It's my full name, Sabina Foisor. You can find me on that on Twitch, and you can find information about my socials there. So f6 is definitely weakening, very weakening. What would be a better approach for black? To have this pawn, you know, under consideration. I don't know, maybe I didn't like this move so much. Because queen b6 locks in the bishop. Maybe b6. Sorry, to play bishop a3, a6. Yeah, f6 is weakening the position a bit too much. And the rook being in e1, it actually helps the bringing of the knight to e5, or here in this case g5, putting pressure. And this square is controlled. That's why I was saying rook e1 is very strong. And you don't have e5, so now if you try to do something like this, the queen will be chased away and you lose the pawn. So that's why f6 was not a move that black should have played. Just trying to figure out, maybe h6. I've seen people go h6 first. That is, you're controlling g5, and then maybe you can consider that. But yeah, f6 is definitely a mistake. This is all theory. I don't think all of this is theory. This is different than the theory. Theory doesn't go like that fully. I think you're thinking of the French. That was not the French. You're thinking maybe of these lines. Well, actually with the knight in d7, so maybe not this line. Sorry, maybe not this line. d5 knight. Where was the knight in the game? Trying to figure out which line. Well, knight c3 or knight d2. One of these lines I think you're thinking about. And then we go f4, but we also have knight f3, c5, something, and you can let c3. I don't know, this kind of position I think you're thinking about. Yeah, it is like a French. It is like a French indeed, but it got on the move order from a Sicilian, so white's bishop is fianchetted in g2, which normally it is in e2 on different kind of French move orders. So while it does look similar and these ideas can happen, you see them more often happening with like a fianchetted bishop, or you see it with white not having the bishop in g2. So basically what's going on here is that black was not really ready to push that pawn, and that's why this was my suggestion. It might be theory till here, with a move knight e4 as a main thing that had to happen. So knight c3, or maybe knight d2 is an option too, and then probably we take, and then black plays bishop d7, queen b6, and then in these situations maybe you can play f6 and take back with the bishop. But the way the game was played, you see, like, differences from a French is that the bishop is fianchetted here, and there's also the rook in e1. So that's why you're a bit too. You're trying to play f6 a bit too soon. That's, you know, it's similar but not the same. Not fully the same. That's why I was trying to figure out what is the best idea for black here. h6 or I don't know if I can play b5. Maybe we can just go b5 and just drop the pawn. Take it. Nah. Nah, we can't do that. We would just lose material. I wouldn't go for that. But yeah, a6, maybe even a5 I might have seen. a5, a4, a3 could be a nice of an approach for black to get more space there. And then you can play, you know, get the bishop out through a6, or simply not touch the b pawn for now. Just approach with this pawn and see if he's gonna stop you with a3 or a4. It's a typical idea for black, but it's still a bit different, and yeah, that's why In the game, it turned out kind of badly, unfortunately, for black. Okay. So what have we got here? Okay, so bishop g3 was played. We stopped in that moment. Knight e4, queen d3, and f4 might be a bit too much. But this is the threat. Is there a specific way we can stop it? Maybe just move the queen somewhere. But then it's like a waste of time to go back and forth. I wonder if this is an option. So the idea would be if you play f6, of course you think, I'm winning the knight, you're pinned and everything, Sabina, what's going on? Then I would be like, yes, but I have an idea. My idea is to go queen h3. And then, can you guys see the follow-up in this position? I'm not even sure which is the best. Bishop takes. We can go for this. Do we want to check first or no check is the question. I don't know. Maybe check, and then we get the bishop back. So it's just a temporary, piece sacrifice, unexpected, and then queen h5, or like I said, or takes. And this looks very good for white. Very good. Because after all, black has the bishop pair, and she doesn't have a knight in f6 to cover the king. So, sorry, in h7. So that's why my arrows sometimes. That's why we want to try to improve the position. So I like that. And then we can switch the position of the rook, potentially. And even h4, h5, h6, something like that would be nice. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to answer to that question. Okay, let's go to the next position. White has done exactly what I thought she would do. h3, the king can go to h2 to protect h3 anytime, and also potentially to escape an idea with queen b6 and checky. Bishop e3. And also h3 is also helpful, of course, for stopping knight g4 in case you're going to develop the bishop in e3. Here, here, here. Okay, very nice. And now white is going to prep a kingside attack. White is going to play, or is she going to go for a4? Nah, I don't think a4. Do we think a4? Is white gonna play a4? I mean, we can try to stop a bit black's plans on that side of the board, but probably not a4. Should we go g4? Or queen d2 first? That could happen. That could be a nice thing, right? This position is... it's just a playable position. I like it. I like this position. What color would I choose? That is another question. I remember growing up, I was playing this pawn structure quite a lot with black, because I did learn at some point a hyper accelerated dragon, and I was thinking, okay, against a closed Sicilian, you kind of get this setup. But I did enjoy more the closed French. So when you had the setup with e6 and d5, I thought it gave black a bit more chances. But at least with a fianchettoed bishop, the white's attack goes a bit slower. And this is a nice house here. People call it, I think, hat or house when you fianchetto a bishop, because you know, the g6 pawn is well protected, so when a pawn goes up and tries to trade, you know, you always recapture, and you have a pretty good, pretty safe position for your pieces. Okay, so a3. Jennifer is trying to get ready for b4 and probably wants to trade at least once. Here, I wouldn't trade twice. I would probably go queen d2, because even if we're opening the two files for black, we do not want to stay with any kind of weaknesses. For example, if we were to capture here, I think this would be a mistake, because we are opening up black's bishop. We're also allowing, after knight takes, we're allowing them to have the ability to put pressure on our backwards pawn and isolate it and everything. So black would just get a very good position. So that is not a move we're considering. Just to be clear, we let them be the ones taking, and always trying to keep a very nice connected chain of pawns when we can. And back to this game after queen c8, white ended up playing king h2. So Alexey didn't go for f4. Okay, I thought she would try to attack a bit, maybe with f4, but why is this move considered a blunder? It's not really a blunder, is it? Is h4 a move here? I would probably try it out to, you know, if you played h5, you might as well just try to open up the file, especially because you haven't castled, you know, h4 looks nice. And if you go for g4, then, well, no f4 for you for a while. I can't play g5, but maybe I can play bishop. I can't play bishop h6 because of g5. Let's see what's the best approach here. I wonder if f5 is an option. Probably not. We don't have a chance to get the pawn back immediately. Okay, so h4, g4. Maybe just development, right? Knight e7. And now it's going to be hard for, I mean, it's not hard, but of course you can play f4, but then we'll trade and then bishop e5. Black has a pretty decent position there. Shernaz ended up following through with the plans with, oh, she closed down the position. She's probably trying to keep the king in the center, or just have a march, potentially. So the question is, do we take or do we push? I should have asked you instead of making the moves, because then you saw the bar. Or do we go a4? a4 is also a move, or b3 is also a move here for white. We can also go f4. It's probably my favorite of all to go f4. Now that you've closed down your chances to try to open up the center, we can just go f4 and try to get some space there, right? So what's the current position? This is the current position. Okay, so we'll have to see if Alexey goes for f4. I like f4. I definitely like it. I think it's pretty good. So after queen f3, just a couple more moves are played. d6, of course, to protect in f5. Knight e2. Castle. Hmm. I'm definitely liking Chuchanik's position. And what I'm surprised to see is in all the other games she got really long time. So far in this game, she's doing pretty well because I mean she has way more time than her opponent. She's up like more than 15 minutes, so that's a good thing, right? It's a pretty good thing. And development-wise, of course, this bishop will go out here. I think it's easy moves that white can play. I would like to have to plan a bit on what you're going to do, but it's not that terrible, the position. You just need to develop. I wonder if Angelina is trying to figure out where to put the bishop. Because bishop d6 looks nice. Bishop g7 is also. But maybe she's trying to figure out how to deal with the bishop in f4. Like how to react to that. This could be a thing that black can do too. Knight e7, knight g6. Putting the knight in g6 is going to help black kind of cover the attacks on that side of the board, you know? It's something. It definitely is something. I wonder if there's pressure on that. If Angelina puts pressure on herself or not. I never asked her that question. Maybe I should at some point. Okay, board 2. Okay, so Marriott decided to give up this pawn instead of e6. But after rook takes, white is simply up a pawn. Okay, maybe bishop f6. And what can we do here with white? I was wondering if this was an option, but maybe not necessarily the best. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with bishop e3. White's rook is somewhat stuck right now, but we do have this idea at some point, and also we can play rook g4 or something eventually, so there's nothing wrong with the position, I think. I wonder if she's thinking to capture with another piece, but then she loses d4, so why? Like if you take here, right? Queen takes, maybe? And what could she be thinking about? Maybe some like, oh, sorry. I always blunder something at some point in the first hour. Is my thing. I always blunder something. No, maybe bishop e3, but then you take, I take. So white's position is certainly slightly better because of the isolated pawn, but okay, no extra material. No, like rook takes, there's nothing wrong. Just take the pawn with the rook, right? Knight takes, again, the same thing, and then you gotta figure out what you do with the queen. Do you want to trade or not? I would anticipate rook takes. I think that's the move that makes the most sense, right? Varinia is preparing for some pawn push. I wasn't fond of f4. I thought it was not necessarily the best move. I thought black was going to play b5, bishop b7 here. I mean, this is still something that black can do. I guess it makes sense to put the queen in c7, but then yeah, you have to develop the bishop. Black will have the bishop pair, and with the pawn here in f4, it's not helping white as much as I thought it would. Okay, so b4 was played in this game. Jennifer only captured once. Did she? Yeah, that's what I thought she would go queen d2 first. Okay, g4. There's no problem. Queen d2, queen c7, and now white's turn. I wonder if she's gonna try to bring more pieces or just go for f5 directly. That is usually how white attacks. You can also go g5 and start marching this pawn, and you know, any f pawn push we can take it. But yeah. f6. f4 is played by Alexey. Nice touch. This attracts a bit too many. Look at black's pawns. White is getting more space. Black has the pawns all over the place, restricted. Bishop in g7. Okay, even if the knight goes to e7, it doesn't help so much, you know? Like, it's not... I'm trying to see, should we go for f5? And I think we can take with the pawn. This is a problem. Like, I guess you have to play knight f8. You have to take with that pawn, otherwise, you know, if you take with the f pawn, the d6 pawn is hanging. Maybe this and this. White's position is maybe a4. But a4 they just take. b3 could do something potentially. I would love to just, you know, sack a piece to e5, and just open up the bishop in g2 and stuff. This is the worst placed piece. We need to improve this knight. At one point in time, we need to improve it, but do we go here like I suggested in the first place? Maybe it is an option. Nothing too one-sided so far, I think. So this game is, you know, still quite early to tell. Very. I guess this is one-sided technically right now. Actually, excuse me, I forgot. This is definitely very well one-sided extra pawn for white, and you know that pawn will stay extra after bishop e3. And then this pawn is weaker than the pawn in d4, so I think this is definitely the more one-sided one. I do like this position. I think it's double-edged because white does have more space, potential ways to try to attack black, but also black does have the bishop pair, so there can be, like, you know, a plus there. And this is still, you know, very early to tell what's going to happen here. And here white is, you know, slightly better, but, you know, you have to figure out a way to infiltrate the opponent's territory. And how, oh, actually, you know what? I got a different idea. So takes. Oh no, but if I take again, I don't know how much we're gonna take advantage of that. No, we don't want to take it again. We definitely want the 5. We definitely want this. I don't want to take again because then the knight gets on a better square, I think. B3, yeah. Okay, I guess she didn't want to take. She's just maintaining the tensions. It's actually nice. It's actually a nice move. Just maintain the tension and let them trade if they want to. But no, black has pushed way too many pawns. Not clear where the king is gonna go, and not completed with the development. Also, Shehnaz is spending a lot of time. She's had a tough tournament, so it's not so great for her. Okay, it's been about an hour since I started, so I think I'm just gonna take like a short break. Hey everyone, I'm back. Let's see what we missed. So in this position, after 92, a6 was played, which I thought normally it's a good move. The engine is not liking it for some reason. I like this idea. I think I showed it earlier. Actually, I wonder. How would this look like for you guys? Of course, just putting the pressure, getting the knight to c4, this will be a long-term weakness. It's a moment where you have to decide if you're going to give up the bishop for that knight or not, actually. Because if you will develop it, then obviously. OBS acting up? No. OBS acting up? Yes. Clearly. Why is it doing that? I don't know. Is it fixed, casual? Or not? How is it going now? I fixed something. I think I fixed something. Now it should be fine, right? Yeah, I messed up my mic yesterday. I told you, right? The cable broke and I didn't find another one. So I can't do anything until I go back home and I get another cable. But hopefully this is good enough. Difficult. I should just get one of, I don't even need to get one of those devices that does sound effects, you know? I should just be ready. I should just be ready for the sound effects to come to happen in a natural fashion. Just like You want sound effects? Don't you worry. Don't you worry. They will happen at some point in stream. Um, just be ready to be surprised at some point in time. We don't know when it's gonna happen, but there will be a sound effect during the stream. I have the cable here. I was gonna bring it this morning to someone to have a look, and like I couldn't fix it, but maybe I can give it to one of the arbiters to see if or maybe the organizer to see if they can fix it. If you probably need like one of those I don't know how it's called. Some I don't know, like a hammer, to hammer the to complicated. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see for the final round if I get lucky for my mic to work again. If not, it will be time for a new one, I guess. This one is acting out too much. It's time for a change. Anyways, so the capture of the knight is certainly something interesting. I didn't consider it first, but when I saw, okay, so it does help sometimes to have that bar. When I saw that it's not liking this move, I figured it had to do something with this knight, because okay, knight b5 should not be too worrisome, I think, for black, but just having the ability to take could be interesting. So rook e1, so now black can still do it. Like, this is probably one of the last moments where you can do that. If I were white, I would get my knight back into play as soon as possible. Probably she should have done it right now. Just to be able to get it out, Anyways, but rook e1 was played, and she might want some knight g3, bishop f4. They did catch not so much on time. Still white is doing better with the time management, I would say, in this game. So we'll see. We'll see if she'll be able to hold. And yeah, I think I need a new adapter for sure, yeah. But this mic anyways was distorting my voice occasionally, so I think it's time for something else. What did white miss here? Is there a way to win material fast? Check. Maybe rook d1, or maybe bishop c5, followed by rook d1. I think white can try to build up a great initiative here with the queen. Yeah, I agree, Casual. So she played f4. Actually, after bishop takes e3, we can give this check first, and then take is probably better for white. I mean, but what about this idea? It shouldn't bother us, right? We can just check first, and then this would be hanging too. I wonder if we can just take. And then rook d1. I mean, we have two pieces and a pawn for the rook. This pawn is also hanging. We have a passed pawn. White's doing great here, for sure. Yeah. I like f4, although the engine doesn't, but okay, it's a natural way to try to give yourself a bit more space, chase the bishop away. So we've had quite a number of changes of trades here. Bishop f3, rook a7, and now rook e1. g5, wow, okay, that's aggressive. It's a very aggressive move. I wonder what's happening after this. Doesn't it seem natural to try to go and grab some material? G5 is like a transmission error? No. Oops. No transmission error. This is the game. It is the game. I mean, the idea is to just put pressure on f4 and try to take it, but it just goes into an end game where, like, it wasn't necessary, I think, for black to get into this end game, especially because this pawn cannot be held on to. And yeah, okay, she wanted to go bishop f5, but how does this help if we just take? Olga gave up a lot of her advantage. Queen c4. Queen c4 was just winning a pawn. Yeah, no, I think it was played. I mean, there's a lot of moves after, so very, very likely this was played. I'm surprised. I'm just as surprised as you are that g5 was played, but it was. I don't know why Olga tried to force things out. There's no threat from white at this point, and she does have the bishop pair. This is a great outpost to have. Of course, it would be even better for a knight. We don't have a knight, no worries. We can bring in the queen. And yeah, one of those pieces is going to be lost. There's no discovery or anything that I can see, so it's a great miss of opportunity there, because now, okay, this position is, I think white is fine, holdable, right? She must have missed something. She must have thought that she can take with the pawn or something, or maybe she thought, I don't know what she thought exactly in this position. Maybe she wanted to play g5? No, g5, g4? Or maybe she thought after queen g4 she can go e5? Maybe this is what she was thinking, and then after check, she probably did not like these ideas, although, or actually maybe f5 here for white. Maybe she missed that white can play f5, and maybe she only thought the queen would have to go, and then black has to take f4 too. So one reason or the other is how we made that move happen. Okay, next. Jennifer decided to go for d4. I personally would have gone for g5 as I showed you before, or f5. d4, the reason I'm not a huge fan of this is because when things open up here, they're opening up for black. Black is the one who has more space to bring in the pieces fast. White's pieces are on the king side. So that is a move that you typically do not want to make. So how do we trade? Maybe like this, trade. Or maybe we don't take in c3, apologies. We take here directly, and then, but then this would be weak. Wait a second. This is what white wants. What about this idea? Of course, we also have knight b3, yeah. I'm liking this. You were looking, yeah, knight g3, I like knight g3 too. Just I don't think white is ready to play d4. I think that is not the plan for white in these positions. The plan is to focus on the king side, not there. So yeah, be mindful if you're playing these kind of positions on how much you're allowing to open in the position, because especially with the A file opened, you know, and every time you push upon, you're leaving something behind. Already b3 is of course weak, but now the knight comes in and it's just like, you know. Yeah, I'm not liking that move at all. Okay, so white gave black the opportunity to take advantage of these, you know, fork ideas, and she missed the chance to do that. And now the position is not so great. Not so great. Oh, in that position? I mean, wow. I will take your exchange anytime of the day, you know, like, wait, hey, exchange is nice. We'll take it. We'll take it. Then what do you do after casual? I mean, exchange is always well appreciated and taken care of. And don't forget, this is hanging too. When I move my knight, I'm also attacking there. I forgot to mention that. I was keeping that as a secret. It was the secret situation, not to be discussed yet. No, this is kind of tough. So yeah, no. You can't. No, knight a5. You're gonna lose something. You have to move the queen somewhere. I don't know, queen e1 or something. And now, I don't know, knight c4, knight b3, knight c4, we probably have to take, and then go for bishop e1 maybe, but then there's this pawn potentially hanging, which I believe I can actually take since, you know, I mentioned I wanted to. Maybe you have knight g3 now and try to activate, but suddenly, you know, black is just they're so happy with the ability to activate all the pieces. Is just white didn't get anything on the king side. That's not usually what you want to try to get in these kind of positions. Okay, if we are going to trade a lot of pieces, then of course it's not the end. It's not the end for white. So now after e5, I wonder if black can still go knight a5 and have that idea. But it's just that idea now. There's no pawn hanging. There's no fork here. You know, pieces got traded, and finally white is getting this move. I want to kind of just like take and take and take. Like, if I want to get a draw, I'm just gonna take everything. And I don't see why Natasha wouldn't want. She's the lower rated player. I don't see why she wouldn't want to take a draw, you know. So yeah, so that's an option, and this is the reason why you are trying to avoid getting these kind of chain of pawns when the opponent has the pawns on the other side that can trade. Because in the end, you know, there will just be so many trades, and you know, you got nothing to fight for anymore. You're just simplifying. Like I like to say, I read it somewhere or I heard someone do analysis one time, and they were like, and it peters out to a draw. And I was like, oh, that sounds so good. I'm just gonna say that when I don't know how to talk about analysis and stuff. So anyways, yeah. Okay, next. Next game. Things have changed a lot since we left off on this one. Quite a lot. So it was b3. We stopped around here. b3 was played. White was trying to break through the position from the other side and just kind of keep the tension in the center. And I thought it made a lot of sense. I was originally suggesting f5, but I can see Alexey's idea to put pressure and try to open the position on this side. And then, yep. Wait, why didn't you go c5? I like c5. c5 is just nice. It's a very nice move here. Wouldn't you guys agree? I like c5 a lot. This is, you know, you're always trying to look for ways to improve the position of your worst place piece, you know? Okay, she's still doing really well. Okay, so she can play c5 later. f6 is hanging. Okay, so she played it now. Nice. Okay, how much material is white up? Only one pawn? Only one pawn. Wait. Maybe rook e1. Ah, but then rook e1 takes, and now... How do we win material here? Where is black moving the queen? Probably here. And d8, there's knight e6. Can we... check or something? Maybe just this. But then there's rook d8. I want to say, like, let's go here, and then when the queen takes, we move the bishop and then bishop d5, but it's too slow. We don't have time for that. We do not have time for it. So, okay, so let's test this out again. So I said I said rook e1. I like the rook on e instead of d. So this. Wait, bishop here, knight f5. What is the idea here? What's the idea? What about this move? I'm dropping some. What am I dropping? They can just take. And I got nothing here. Oh, okay, never mind. Oops, why I keep doing that? Why do I keep doing that? So this. What is a good move here for white? I feel like it's something easy. Like maybe a knight b3? I mean, check, I don't think it helps, but maybe it does. And now 96. Okay, finally. Let's go. Difficult. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes this bar is more disturbing than helping because you make a move and then suddenly it drops and you're like, oh no, what is going on? Why can't I see this? So you get so, worked up about a move. But rook c7 is really nice, and then queen goes and take everything. Yeah, we like this. We like this position with white. Yeah. I wasn't going to give the check because I was thinking, ooh, second rank, I need to be careful. But okay, I got the queen for now, and I have the bishop that controls f2, so I'm not worried about it. And let's say you go rook c8 maybe here. But I feel that, white has the opportunity to just take and start pushing the pawn, and it's very hard for black to come up with something. So it looks like Alexey chose this move, which allowed the capture. Of course, takes. Queen b2. Rook there. I don't know why she's trying to get activated on the second rank, but those two bishops are monster. Oh no. She played rook takes a2. And she lost. Okay, now it's game over. Another tough game for Sharnaz. I hope she doesn't lose faith. Okay. So Chuchanik did not bring her knight into play. I don't know why she's not, or bishop f4. Or bishop f4 I like too, right? It's time to develop the bishop. She played knight f4. But knight f4, is she trying to sacrifice in e6? It's like knight g3 also makes some sense, but I don't know. I'm seriously thinking that black considers long castle. So after knight here, is black considering long castle? Would you consider long castle here for black? Or would you try to do something different? No, casual. Sad. Sad you're leaving. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks so much for stopping by. There'll be one more round later, so I will be here until the evening, your evening. So hopefully we'll see you back. Knight f4. This is a move I didn't consider. But you know what I'm about to consider, don't you? Knowing me, let's go for this. I wish this worked. It would be too fun if it worked. It would be really great. But we needed to be able to win this pawn too, and we can't really win that pawn as well. So I think actually maybe even what's the best move here for black? Queen d6 to try to bring in that side? No, because maybe f3. Maybe knight back? It looks a bit suspicious blocking the bishop, but we can always take it out in g7. Yeah, the sacrifice is not working. Sadly, but we have this idea. Black might just choose to do this. Okay, knight e4 is a very strong move here. Definitely. With the two pawns supporting it and the queen in f3 that does not allow white to actually push f3, I think we have some small problem. Okay, so after Natalia played f4, looks like black decided to give up the bishop for the knight. And now white has the bishop pair, the extra pawn, and I think this game will go for a win. This game was relatively balanced last time we checked, and I think it remained the same. The g5 in this position certainly cost Olga a bit of her advantage, because the more the game progresses, the more trades are happening, the easier it is, in my opinion, for black to just kind of hold. Even this is fine for black. I mean, I would have probably considered to do that. I think even this works, because if we trade another, like if we trade the rook and then try to get activated here, black has their rook activated as well, maybe rook b8 to go rook b2, and it would end in a draw. Black decided to play bishop g6, and I actually kind of like it. It's a prophylactic idea, and just kind of hoping that white is going to capture, so at least black gets slightly better pawn structure, but white chose not to, and of course, and play bishop d5, but to imagine a progress here, I think is very difficult. It's not so easy to imagine that some progress is gonna happen. Okay, so after e5, Knight g5 is preparing. Oops, sorry. It was supposed to be an error. So I was teaching some fun checkmate. I was teaching some fun checkmate earlier today, and I was teaching some potential sacrifice in f7, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if it works here or not, but like might not work. Okay, let me take like a short break, and I'll be back. Just a moment, guys. Okay, everyone, I believe I am back. So please do let me know if... Okay, everyone. If you can hear me okay, if everything sounds good. Just to be sure. Hopefully you do hear me well, and we can get back onto the games. Not much has changed since I left off. So there's this knight g5 idea, interesting idea, and now takes. Okay, I told you. I think Natasha's going for the trades. She's gonna trade here. She's gonna trade here. If you take back, we're gonna trade here too. And hey, equal position. Nobody can complain from having an equal position with someone who's like 300 points higher, right? It's pretty good. So I think she's gonna go for that. Alexey has won her game. It was very well played game by her. Getting a lot of advantage in the opening due to a lot of pawn moves by black. I mentioned earlier I wasn't happy with the e6 e5 idea. I thought it was a waste of time, and then also moving the knight to d4 and back to e3. It was a bit tough for Shernaz actually in this game, but okay, what to do? We have to be mindful about development, not wasting too much time with pawn pushes, and yeah, if we do, we need to be cautious to at least get the king to safety. And Shernaz was struggling with that a bit, and then of course White just kept getting a lot of space advantage in the center, and she was able to convert. But going back to board one, this is the game that I think a lot of people are looking at and following, because we have a former US Women's Champion, 3 times US Women's Champion, and Chuchanik Airapetian, who hasn't played much recently, but I gotta say, she's played quite well here. She started with a draw in the first round, if you remember. She was actually having a slightly worse position, offered a draw, it was accepted, and then the luck went her way throughout the competition. But you know what they say, we make our luck, right? So here, after knight d3 castle, she went for knight c2. I think it was about time, because black could have captured the knight in a3 for so many moves. Knight g5. Angelina is being very tricky here. So for example, the worst thing that could happen, so please do not fall for this, Chuchanik, I have to show it because it's kind of a cute idea. Bishop takes, knight takes. Oopsie, what? Oh no, my queen. And then knight takes h3. So, geometry is very important in chess. So she cannot just move the queen, to anywhere she wants, because she will lose a piece. So we have to go bishop takes g5. Okay, and this is the kind of position that Angelina likes. She likes to attack, and she might go rook g1, rook g8, putting pressure. I'm trying to figure out how the queen is going to get into play here. I don't see an easy path. But I have an idea. We can always go bishop e7, queen d6, and just kind of circle around. And then we will actually have a threat here with black for a potential mate. But, you know, okay, it's just an idea. You know, don't get too stressed about my ideas, because they might not happen. But, okay, so bishop takes g5 was played, and we actually have this position. Now, if I were white, I would start a queenside attack. I think I can start with, should I start with c4 or should I start with b4? Maybe I should start with c4, or maybe rook c1, or maybe c4, but I'm weakening the position a bit too much. Too much. And by the way, I don't think white should be worried about rook g8, rook takes g2. With the queen in f3, we're safe there. The question is, how do we activate this knight in c2? Maybe she should go back with a4, knight e3, but it's too slow. Ah, I saw a new idea. Check this out. Knight b4. And then we want to do something like this. How good would this be? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure this would be a good idea. We need to prepare it more. What about knight c5? Still, it always allows black to give up the bishop. Maybe black doesn't want to give up the bishop, but still, it's not really helping that much. Okay. Not so easy. I'm actually surprised that white's position was fine. What went? I know what went wrong. The allowing of this knight in e4. That's what went wrong. And the fact that white did not play bishop f4. I really think this would have been a good diagonal for the bishop. Just put it in f4, trade, you know? Like, you need to complete your development. It is so important. And she's having a slightly worse position, but okay, it's still playable. Maybe this could be an additional idea, putting the knight in e3 to cover g2. I know she played king h1, but this is definitely something that could be helpful. Put the knight in e3, maybe b3, c4 at some point, though d4 will hang. White will be on the defending side right now in this game. Natalia was doing really, really good, and she still is, of course. I wasn't trying to say she's not. The rook d6, very nice. She's going for a little bit of a tactical idea, trying to trade more pieces. You know what they say, when you are up material, you want to trade as many trade as many pieces as possible. And then f5, of course, it's nice. Bishop moves away, and goodie. What happened in this position? Why is that move considered such a... Oh my goodness. Rook c5? Uh-oh. Black missed rook c5. No. This is a freebie. We cannot miss freebies. Olga will not be happy after this when she sees that she had this opportunity. Because you simply, like, put pressure on the bishop and there's no way to defend. Remember when I told you, like, white could just take and get the rook endgame, though, sorry, will be equal? That's what she should have done. But instead, what did she do? Bishop d5, rook there, h4, oh, missing the pin here. Maybe she thought that after rook c5, I don't know what she thought she could do, because she's pinned and the check doesn't help her. The bishop remains attacked twice, and then king f8, the rook is attacked, and there's nothing. This would have been a free piece. Olga played h6, and now, if white moves the bishop, everything's... Even h5, I think, is good, because, you know, this is not going to be the same thing. I mean, at least I get the bishop too. You get the bishop, I get it too. Oh, this is a tough miss, rook c5. Kaijudo, how are you doing? She's trying to play a mind game. What is the mind game exactly? What is the mind game that she's trying to play? I'm not sure. Because that is a serious like change, right? You're supposed to be winning. You're supposed to be winning, and now you're not anymore. Where's the mind game? Who is playing the mind game? White or black? I don't know. Oh, so after b takes c3, Jennifer took the queen, and Natasha didn't go for the queen trade? What am I missing here? Take everything. I don't know, h6 or something? Push the knight back, move your knight so that you are the one pinning, you know? I see, Kaijuno. Got it. Okay, Natasha doesn't go for the queen trade. I'm surprised. Personally, I'm surprised by this decision. Is she seeing some? I mean, she's trying to keep the pawn there, but here's the thing. The problem is, okay, sure, the pawn in b2 is weak now. Indeed, it's an isolated pawn, but you won't be able to make all these trades anymore, I think, because then that pawn will be a passed pawn, or maybe you can. Maybe you can still. Maybe she's trying to go for this instead, and I don't know. I would be a bit concerned in this position. Checky. And then knight f8. Maybe we shouldn't be that concerned. Yeah, okay, still equal. Okay, I panicked for a second that this pawn would be passed once we capture here, but you know what? Maybe she's got a point. Maybe she's trying to play for some advantage, but what would be the best way to actually go for the advantage? Maybe this? Oh, you know what? I was gonna show you guys this cute idea that I had earlier, and then I took a short break and I didn't get the chance to show you, but let me show you this cute idea that I had earlier. Knight takes f7, king takes f7, e6, king takes... Ah, but wait, it's not. Is it mate? It is, right? King e6, king takes e6. And now, wait. Where's the mate? Where's the mate? Wait, I didn't see it. I just want to show it before actually seeing it, you know? It's okay. Sabina will find it. Checky. Ah, but this makes it longer. This makes it a bit longer. You come here, and then wait, that's not mate. And now bishop where? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Here. Okay, all right, we found it. Okay, not an embarrassing situation, that's good. Okay, so here, obviously after e6 you can go back, you know, and when I take, you take back, and perfectly fine. I just want you to be aware of the sacrifice because it's a really beautiful idea to know you're attracting the opponent's king outside, and then, you know, you just go. But apparently I have a faster mate. Mine was like in 6 moves. Is there a faster one? So like, oh, sorry, not this. I don't mean this. I meant this. Checky. King f6. G5, right? Takes, king here, knight g3 mate. Okay, cute, right? So maybe this is what white is thinking, potentially sacrificing in f7, attracting the king out, but of course, you know, Natasha has to be a bit careful, but I don't think she's gonna fall for it. I'm sure she's aware of it. Maybe she was just worried about it, and that's why she played knight d8. But okay, h6 could have worked. But is there something else we can do? This king does look a bit weak, so I have the feeling that, I don't know. I have the feeling that something good is about to happen for black, but what is it? What What is this something good? Takes? No, because that I showed earlier, and it wasn't leading to any advantage. Is this queen able to? What takes? Nah. Oh, is there a difference between? No, the pressure on f7 is totally unpleasant. So what to do here? There's some idea I'm not seeing. It's definitely something I'm missing. So I'm looking at this diagonal, I'm looking at captures, I'm looking at the activity of the pieces. I mean, I don't think this does as much, because of course you can trade. I don't think we can take an e5, right? I mean, white can just take here and we'll just lose material. Is queen a6 more? Queen a6 is a bit more aggressive. Maybe white should have put the king in f2 instead of h2. Interesting. Okay, but she played knight d8. I don't see that as a. Okay, maybe it was more active to play queen a6. Queen b3, no threats or anything. Maybe something like this would be really nice for black. And if you do retreat with the knight, I think black will have the ability to bring in the queen. Maybe not immediately, but eventually it will be brought into play. Definitely capturing in g2 has to happen right now for black. More later, but yeah. Okay, and that game was over. So rook g1 was played. Oh, Chuchanik wanted to make sure her king was super well protected, I guess. Knight e7. I was thinking more like maybe queen e7 or queen somewhere, bishop moves, and you know, I last time I showed this super long line where the bishop had to go to c7 instead of doing this. I don't know why I did that. I thought it was kind of cool to show to show a rhombus or something, but yeah. White decided to super protect g2. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel that black can try to bring in the queen, try to have some ideas to infiltrate, but it's still a long way for black. And Natalia is approaching the win with having traded another piece, a pair of rooks. Bishop d4. Just look at these two bishops. How beautiful is it to have such bishops that control both sides of the board? Now, bishop b6 is a threat. It is a difficult position to play with black. And you're only down a pawn, but being so passive with all of the pieces on the back rank does not help that much, unfortunately. So it's gonna be going in Natalia's favor shortly, I believe. How long has this tournament been around? You mean ever since they organized it. So I think they might have had it in the past, but it's only the past 3 years. So this is the third annual U.S. Women's Senior Championship. I don't know if they had something done before. To my knowledge, they didn't. So it started as an initiative 3 years ago, and then last year it was organized here, sponsored by Precision Tune Auto Care, and I'm super excited about this partnership. They've sponsored quite a few other tournaments, and some other streams where I've been streaming for US Chess. So shout out to them and the family distance behind the business. And of course, I certainly hope that if you have any card trouble, you give them a call. They have businesses throughout the United States. So they've put together this tournament last year, and last year there were 12 players. This year only 10, and it's not a closed tournament. It's only a 5-round tournament. And I'm told that starting next year, this tournament will take place in the same time as the US seniors and the juniors and the girl junior in St. Louis. So we'll see if that happens, but if it does, it will be sometime in the summer and probably a round robin with the ladies who are eligible for it based on rating. That's typically how these tournaments are. So here the ladies are you have to be over 50 and be top player in the country in that rating, an age in that age, better said, over 50 years old. And I'm super impressed with the way this tournament is organized. It's just reminds us that chess is the kind of game that you can play at all ages, and I do like to see the ladies fight till the end and trying to win. Of course, Natalia Zodikova is the defending champion. She unfortunately lost yesterday against Angelina Belakovskaya, so now Angelina is leading the tournament, so that's why I've been on a close look for board 1 to see if Angelina will be able to take back the title this year. She won the first edition, then Natalia won last one, and so now we will have to see what happens. I hope so too. It's nice to see because a lot of female players sometimes stop playing chess for some period of time, and they build legacies. They are inspiring, and we don't want to see that fizzle away. It's nice to see them come back to the board and show their skills and to continue to create and share their knowledge. And I think it's inspirational for the younger generation to see that you maintain your level and you work for it. And all of these ladies, despite having other jobs, they do try to train for the tournament and try to maintain their level and do well. It's really nice to see. So anyways, so king g2, queen a8, king h2. So Natasha has played what I suggested here. And now I don't know what would be the best way. Wait, isn't h6 winning something here? Or do we have knight f7? I think we have this idea. So she shouldn't fall for it, like I almost fell for in the position. So knight takes f7 is indeed a threat. Knight f7, knight takes, and then e6. So we need to do something about that threat. So what would be the best approach here for black to do something about the threat? Black would try to trade queens. I don't know if queen b7 or maybe queen b8. Guess no, the engine doesn't want that. I would love to trade queens. And what if we take here? Still not ready. So, what shall we do here? This could help stop knight f7, but if I play this, white will take. What about this move? Cannot be this difficult. It says black is almost -2 with some move, but one move. Maybe this move. Cranky old man. Yes, that's the threat. That's the threat. That's what I was showing earlier, yeah. I was showing that h6 is not possible because white does want to take. That's why I was trying to find a way to stop it. And then e6. It is a threat, yeah. So I think we'll take because it's with tempo. And also we're weakening the protection of that. So if you take like that, I think we can sorry, take and just take. So maybe it was good that Natasha was playing instead of trying to trade queens and go for a draw. I'm playing online chess with a friend in a 3-day. He messaged me GG. Wait, you have a mate? Wait, is a mate for him or for you? For your friend or for you? I don't know. I say GG all the time. I have the student and it's so funny. I say GG when to me GG doesn't necessarily mean like checkmate, but I think for a lot of people when they say GG it just means like good game, it's mate. I say good game when it's a huge advantage. And I have a student, she's so cute, but she's like, Sabina, it's not GG, we can still play. It's not over. I have a move. I'm like, okay. So she's one of my students that I cannot use GG. So maybe your friend is just very happy to play against you. So don't take it personally. Just play whatever you find. Maybe it's not over. Knight f3 played by Chuchanik here. Oops. All this time, I need to tell you this idea that I've been wanting to have somehow happen for black in this position. But it's just not happening anytime soon. But there's this idea that I want at some point to happen with placing a rook in g3 and then having the ability to sacrifice it. I mean, imagine how nice that would be. Or some rook h5 and having the ability to take an h3. I don't know. I just want that to happen. Just the way that this setup is here, it's like, please make it work. Or capturing in G2. I mean, that would be super nice as well, you know? It's just, it would be brilliant. Brilliant. But no, it's not working. Okay, queen takes. Wait, no. No, it wouldn't work. It would have worked maybe under different circumstances, but here you just lose the rook, and then if you take with the rook, takes. Oh, maybe that could have. Takes, and then if you take with the knight, you might be losing material. If you don't take, if you take with the rook, then you lose that. Wait, do you? Do you? Because I see this move and it's unpleasant, so maybe we have something different for white. What could be a different idea that works really nice? Well, technically, actually, if you're looking at this position, this knight is hanging, and the knight cannot move because this rook is hanging. So if we come up with something that would stop rook h2, maybe knight e5. No, but then they can just maybe take. Something that stops rook h2, then we can just take the knight. I'm not 100% sure. Could we go like... Nah, this would be actually... What is that good move here for white after rook takes g2? Oh, maybe knight e1? This is cute. It is kind of a cute idea. And if you take the knight, of course, we'll take your rookie. Okay. So that didn't work, so Angelina decided to go for the trade. And yeah, I was debating here if pawn takes might not be... No, I tried 95, but then they just take it. It's not... It wouldn't work, okay, Judo. It would not work. So takes, and then what? What is it that we're doing now? Because if you trade, we take back, and white is pretty okay. What's wrong with this move? Don't tell me some ideas with rook g3 will work. Probably not. Probably not. No, we just take the rook for free. Black is not ready for the actual mate, so that's not gonna happen. Okay, we'll be back. Ooh, g4. My favorite move. Once we see this move, usually it's GG. Like I like to normally say GG there. And then of course, like we have h4 and g5, and the knight is trapped. So Natalia's on her way to win. After that big miss by woman FIDE master Olga Salgalchik, rook c5 was winning a piece. The position seems to maintain its balance here. I mean, it's nothing too complicated. I like how white has placed her rooks on the open file and has the ability to go rook e7, trade rooks, or rook e6, trade rooks. The king is close to the center. I mean, I'm anticipating something like this is going to happen shortly. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, next. Oh no! No, Natasha! Natasha could have taken the pawn here and then taken this one. She went for my first instinct also, but that's why we try to look for more. I had a little bit of help here to make me think to look for more. Obviously, you want to open up your bishop. If you have time and you know what you've been struggling with in a position, then usually you have ideas as to what you want to do. But here, queen b7, she's going more for equalizing here. I think So trading queens, knight comes into play. It makes sense why the move is made, but weakening the position could have worked slightly better, maybe. Yeah. So I think with white here, we probably have to trade, and yeah. When is it normally good to double rooks on an open file? Well, here's the thing that I like to say. So you always have to look at your pieces and remember what purpose they have. And with rooks, typically you like them to have the ability to move across files and ranks, right? So you want them to be connected or coordinated, to have threats working together with another piece. If it's with another rook, you want the two rooks to get together on the same file, to infiltrate in the opponent's territory. And usually, you know, as a follow-up on the 7th rank is where things are happening. So in that position, and it was a rook endgame, what white was trying to do, if I just go back to it for a second, white is trying to trade. If we look at the pawn structure and the way the pawns are set up in such a way, although, you know, it would be maybe the same because white technically has these two pawns connected and then those two pawns separated, whereas black has these two pawns connected and those two separated. But the way white pawns are separated, apologies, we feel that we actually have 4 islands of pawns. The more islands you have, the worse it is, because those pawns are weak. So what white is trying to do is trade pieces, because by trading the rooks, then the king will come into play and we'll get into an endgame that eventually will end up being a draw. So that's basically what's happening, and that's why she did that. And there was no other file to put the rook. Think about it. Where else are you going to put the rook? The d file has been blocked by the bishop, right, for the whole time, and she doesn't want to be, you know, pinned and lose the piece. She almost did, but she got lucky. She escaped. So now what is she doing? She's bringing this piece into the game because it makes more sense for the rook to come in together with this other one, to go rook like e7, rook e6, and try to trade something here. Must be something going on outside. I don't know what this noise is, guys. It's really loud. It must be a vacuum. Oh, I think they're cleaning. How loud is it for you guys? Let me know. I did not expect such a noise. Okay, so it makes sense, right? So the rook was brought to the file to trade, and yeah, you shouldn't be afraid that your rooks, you want them to do something. You want to put them on files. It's not distracting? Okay, good. It is for me, but if it's not for you, that's great. If you put them on open files, you're either going to put them both so that they both infiltrate and get to the 7th rank or 6th rank. That's where the pawns of the opponents are and you want to win them. Or you are doubling them so that you can activate them on the, you know, trade a pair of rooks, and then the other one will stay active, okay? So don't be afraid. As long as you're giving your rooks a purpose, that is exactly what you want to do. Okay, checky. Rook, okay, this is going to be, okay, something to be mindful of. We don't want to lose that pawn. So rook c5, I'm thinking, is an option. Rook f7, I wouldn't say it's really an option, because after king g5, white's gonna lose that pawn, and then, okay, white will have to defend once again. But no, like, if we go rook c5, the pawn is protected, the king cannot infiltrate, and you see this rook has to stay in d6 to cover those two pawns. And black's continuation here will be king f2 and then bringing the pawn forward. Does it make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay, so that's about that one. We'll go back to this game because it seemed like Jennifer did not want to trade the queens, so she's actually going for the She's trying to play for a win, but she's worse in this position. Okay, Natasha's going for it. She's like, okay, you don't want to win? I try to give you one more chance. I'm kidding. I don't know if that's what she's thinking. If she's listening to this, she might not be happy. But she's very nice. Natasha is very, both players are very pleasant to talk to. I had the pleasure to interview Jennifer prior to the tournament, and she's the one who told me that although she hasn't played over the board for 15 years, she actually has kept up with chess. She's been playing a lot of blitz games, and yeah. Sorry, that noise is really distracting. I don't know what it is. I can't even see what it is. I just hear a noise. Anyways, so and she's been training actually, and she had a really nice win in the first round. Here, after pawn takes, Jennifer will have to deal with the loss of a pawn, because if you take with a bishop, we take anyways, and you don't have time. I think Jennifer was trying to find a way to still capture in f7, but really, it's not happening. It would be nice to see a decisive game. Don't get me wrong, I know how chess works. I know we have 3 results, but I always like to see a nice battle, and I like to see when someone finds ways to outplay their opponent, or like, you know, because you play like equalish game, right? You play normal moves, and then at some point someone is going to make a mistake. And what I love to see in a chess game, when someone makes a mistake, how the other side finds way to take advantage of it and improve step by step. That's basically one of my favorite parts of chess, and maybe that's why I'm a huge fan of Capablanca, because he was really great at doing that. And he was, I don't know, this is just, again, my opinion. Everyone has their own favorite player, favorite world champion, but for me, the way he was able to take advantage of the mistakes of the opponent, and positionally improving the position until at some point he would really transform that positional advantage into a material one, because it's just like it was the kind of style that was just restricting the opponent move after move after move. And that's why it would be nice to see that game. It could be a leaf blower, I agree, but the thing is that I don't see it here, and it sounds the same. So if they would be moving, it would go away from here, but it's not. It's not going away, so I really don't know what this noise is. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. I certainly hope it's not. But it's Sunday. Who's working on a Sunday? I don't know. It's just, I'm just asking. Self-questioning. No, if we were in Romania, definitely we would not hear any kind of work. I always have to remind myself where I am, in which part of the world. But anyways, hopefully it will stop at some point. Okay, so Angelina played queen a5. I don't know what she's doing with that move. Oopsie. Oh, that's another game. Why is she going for queen a5? Well, okay, she's going for the pawn, but I mean, like, I didn't think she should play on this side of the board. I thought black should play on this other side of the board. But there's not so much to do. You know what happened? I think Chuchanik is trying to play for a draw. She didn't make any weaknesses in the position. She might have played some subpar moves according to this bar. That is sometimes stressful for me. But she's holding on. See, she hasn't made any pawn pushes. She might need to play a3, but that's probably all she will do. Like b4, I don't know if b4, it might be a bit too much. She could consider it, but I think it's a bit too much. But yeah, maybe a3 seems fine. Okay. Natalia has won. A very nice game. She took advantage of her opponent's early mistake here, f6, and then she stayed with the extra pawn, and eventually she was able to outplay her opponent. I love how, like, if you look at games that are someone wins, right, it's obvious that they should win because they have extra material advantage, but what you want to do is just look at what they're doing to win the game. How do they trade the pieces? How do they push the pawns to create a passed pawn? Or how do they build up an attack? There's always various ways on how you can win a winning game. You just need to find the right approach to it. And this is kind of cute. I showed it earlier. The bishops were looking towards the king, but they're looking on this side of the board too. But now we're threatening rook takes h6, and black couldn't really stop that. She tried rook f8 in order to be able to make this sacrifice, but after rook takes f5, bishop f3, white is safe, extra piece, and then the rook just goes away from the attack, because after rook f4 there was a threat potentially of rook d4, but it really wasn't really a threat. It was kind of like a threat, but not really, because what do we do after rook takes d4? Simply rook takes h7. After king takes, we're still up a pawn, a piece, sorry. We're still up a piece, and white is still winning, so yeah. Okay. And this game is going to go for a draw, probably, unless one of the players will make a blunder. I think it's hard to make a blunder at this point, but okay, so after c takes d4, Jennifer went for e takes d6. So the idea is after takes, she wants to take there, and of course she's going to win, because this is an important thing for everyone to be reminded of. Whenever you have a pawn close to promotion, right, if you made it to the 7th rank, you're threatening promotion, but also winning the knight. There's no way to stop such a pawn unless you can actually capture it, right? So Natasha has to do something about this, and I think she can just take back. I don't think I'm missing anything. Just recapture, and now this bishop is still attacked, so white can recapture here with a bishop or with a knight. But then I think we can probably wait a second. Queen. Queen b5, you can just push, right? So not queen b5. After bishop takes, what is the best move for white in this position? What do you guys think? What do I think is the question also. I don't know. I'm not seeing a good move yet. So I try to delay the answering of the correct move because I'm not seeing it yet. Can we play h6? I mean, h6 just wins the piece. No cause for alarm. h6, yes, Cranky. Yeah. h6, you got it. You got it. This is a move I want to play earlier. Remember when you came on stream, or when you tried it the first time? Because knight takes f7, right? There was the issue because there was a pawn in e5, but now there's no issue. Thank you so much. Free knight, no forky. We're all good. h6, you're right. You are right. And if knight takes, I think we do the same thing. There's no... Oh, we don't. We don't do the same thing, okay. Because... Is it 96 or... No. What's the reason why we don't do the same thing? Do we take and queen e6 now? What do we do here? Oh, we just go back. Knight f3. I'm telling you, this noise is distracting, and I don't know what it is. I have a window in front of this this room, and there's nothing moving. There's nothing. It's just. No cause for alarm, my friends. We go bishop takes and then h6. Okay? Yes, I know. We win the piece anyways. Nobody's gonna escape that, right? Okay. This is going to be an intense day. Right now it's 1:16 p.m. and around 5, and the final round actually starts at 3. And there are quite a few games remaining. Okay, this one is over. So there's board 1, board 3, and board 4 still played. Natasha plays h6. Then she's gonna win the piece. So the next round is at 3. I don't know where you guys are watching from, but it's basically in about 1 hour 45 minutes. So it's gonna be an intense day. It's gonna be intense, especially because these 3 games are still being played. It will be interesting to see what happens. And if the noise is still here when I'm supposed to go live again, I will complain. I'll go to the reception and I'll complain. Because it's clearly somewhere next to my room. I was supposed to have the most quiet room in the entire hotel. We requested the quietest. And it is not. There's nothing that I can see that White can do to save the knight. Now, it's gonna take a little bit of time to win, but what's important for Natasha is that she needs to find a way to not get too low on time, because I know how stressful it is when you know you're winning, but you're low on time and you're afraid you might mess up something and actually even lose. So it is very important for her to just find the psychological, be psychologically ready to, mentally ready to outplay her opponent till the end. A3 played or no? Yes, A3 played, and now queen A4. Rook is hanging. So we can go back. No problem. And maybe queen B3. And then I feel like if I were White, I would just go and trade queens. Considering that I believe Juchanik is trying to kind of hold the position. No, I think it's like right next to my room, there is this little fence, and I think it has something like with like an AC. So it's either a vacuum or an AC. But like the noise has stayed the same, and usually if it's a vacuum it changes, right? If it's for leaves. gonna turn on my other computer to see how bad is heard for you guys. Okay. Okay. It's not that terrible, I guess. It's not that, it's just for me. It's just a distraction. Uh, ay, ay, ay. Okay. I'll try to add a filter and see. So hopefully. Ah, I know what I need to do. Sorry. Wait. Okay. I think you shouldn't be able to hear it now. Do you still hear it? You should only be able to hear me, I think. I don't know how loud I am, but maybe. Can you still hear me loud enough? Advanced streamer skills. I try. Can you guys hear me loud enough is the question. Cause I tried to get rid of the noise, but no, I'm not loud. Like it's not loud enough. My voice. Okay, you guys said perfect, so I'm just gonna. I'm just gonna believe you, and I'll try to. Yeah. I don't think it's loud, but okay. I don't want you guys to hear background noise. I will deal with it myself. Um, yeah. Now I should just put music in my ears, and just like that would be a more pleasurable sound. Okay, back to the games. Okay, no distractions. I got it. As long as you guys can hear me, okay, that's all I care about. Okay, because it's getting interesting, and we want to make sure that we know what we're doing over here. Um, okay, so I see Angelina is trying to just make like improvement moves and waiting for a little bit. Whereas in this position, Angelina is, sorry, Chuchanik is just burning time. And this is a problem because, you know, at some point you won't know what to do. So you have to just sit and just make some moves back and forth just to get, additional time. Because the time control for this tournament is 90 plus 30. So, yeah. This position is still quite equal. Trading one more pair of pawns, so both players have now a passed pawn, but yeah. Okay. Alright. Natasha is winning the piece. No matter what white does, that knight will be lost. So white can choose to capture in f7, but okay. We're happy. Extra piece. It's always appreciated. So yeah, from these 3 games remaining, which one do you want to ask to focus on more? Okay, so Chuchani is going queen d1, trading queens and trying to find a way to put more pressure. Okay, so what shall we do here? Should we trade? Do you think Angelina is gonna go for the draw or she's gonna go for the win? If she draws, she'll be on 3.5. Nobody else has 3.5. Natalia's on 3 points. So yeah. What's gonna happen, in your opinion? Do you think she's gonna take the draw? Like the trade of the queens, or she's gonna keep the queen on the board? But where is she gonna put it though? Is she gonna go back to like c4? There's no threat. There's no threat really. Okay, guys, just give me 1 second. One moment, because I'm kind of 1 second. Okay, apologies. I am back. Rook c7. So here, bishop g4, cheeky, is gonna allow black to come here, and it will be a problem. So we have to be a bit careful about this. Maybe we can go bishop. Yeah, bishop g6, I think. But then bishop king g5. Wait a second, black is having some improvement ideas here. No, we have to play bishop f3. Okay, I figured it out. Bishop f3 makes things much easier for white, I think. Because if we get rid of the bishop, even if the king tries to infiltrate, I think we'll be able to escape eventually. So that's one way to stop it. Otherwise, how can we stop the infiltration of the king? This is what Olga is hoping for. Yes, there's a K-12 being held in December. It's going to be from December 12th till 14th. It takes place in Spokane, Washington. You can register for the tournament. I mean, I don't know if you're a kid or not, but if you know anyone who is up to grades 12, so from 1st to 12th grades, the tournament is quite popular. A lot of people are playing. Usually it takes place on the East Coast, but this is the first time in many years that it actually takes place on the West Coast. And yeah, there's still time to register. You have the link posted in the above, and I'll actually be doing commentary for that tournament. So if you have the ability to compete, or you know someone who is interested, please send them and tell them to register by Monday, because on Monday the registration fee goes up. And you know, it's actually really it's a beautifully organized tournament, and there's side events too for family and friends. There are simuls that kids can compete in. There's a puzzle competition as well. It's the second time that, well, maybe they had it in the past, but the first time during the Super Nationals, which took place in May this year, they had US Chess partnered with Chess Kid, and there was a puzzle competition. And the kids were given, you know, an account to, and they would start from zero, and the purpose was, I think they had 15 minutes or 20 minutes and tried to increase their rating from the start to as high as they could in that amount of time. So that will happen again this time around. And like I said, there's the puzzle competition, friends and family tournament, bug house competition as well, and of course there are a few lectures by guest grandmasters, girls club room, which it's super exciting, especially if for, I think it's a great environment, an empowering environment for females, for girls, for, you know, the moms to go and hang out, and there are a lot of activities being done there. So if you happen to be in the area, you can always check it out. And I think there's also going to be a fundraiser simul too. So yeah, highly recommend checking it out. Anyways, I talked about that a lot, but I'm always passionate about seeing a lot of kids compete in these tournaments, because they're the future generations of chess, and it's inspiring to see them being motivated, training, and going to these tournaments, and dealing with the pressure, learning how to deal with the pressure. There's, you know, playing as a team, because sometimes a lot of schools are going to these tournaments, and there are a lot of team prizes too. So yeah, really exciting. And I've been commenting on so many of these tournaments, and only recently I actually saw the players, so I know whom I'm talking about. I saw them in person, a few of them who have won in the past. So always a pleasure knowing whom I have to be mindful about when I play, you know, just to make sure I get to maybe still win a couple of games while they're still young, you know, because once they get stronger, it's harder. It's harder to win against them. Okay, looks like we got a result. So after Queen D1, the players have agreed on a draw. That leads us with one player with 3.5 points, and that's woman grandmaster Angelina Belakovskaya, 3.5 out of 4. And then we have two players with 3 points. For now, there's one more game. It technically could be 4 players. Sorry, 3 players. So we have Chuchanika Irapetyan, she's on 3 points. And then we have Natalia Tsodikova, and we're waiting on this result as well, because Olga is on 2 out of 3. So if she does win, she'll be on 3 out of 4. It's hard to imagine that would happen. Okay, I see Varinia chose rook c5 instead of my suggestion, which was bishop f3. So with the rook here, you know, we are stopping the king from advancing. Of course, the a pawn can march. There's still possibilities for white to make mistakes here. I think black is definitely the one playing for a win. But I think there's a big chance that this game could end in a draw. All right, so moving on. Moving on to here. So it looks like Jennifer did decide to give up the knight in f7. At least she got an extra pawn, but it will be difficult for her to create something here. Natasha has to be careful. Of course, she has a lot of time, but you know, time is running. Time is running away. If she's not careful, I would centralize my queen. So contrary to the belief that the queen should not be taken out early, in an endgame, you have to bring it towards the center. Okay, during the opening, like at the beginning of the game, in the opening, in the middle game, usually you don't put it in the middle of the board because it's going to be easily attacked and give the opponent the opportunity to place their pieces on better squares. But in this position, what happens, the queen coming to e4 is controlling a lot of squares, gets ready to put some pressure on white's king, having some checkies. The knight can come to c5, followed by knight d3. As long as Natasha keeps the knight in f7, in my opinion, her king will be totally safe, so she can coordinate with her queen and the other knight to try to win maybe the f-pawn and put pressure on white's king. So that is something that potentially we could see. And basically we only have these two games remaining between Varinia and Olga Sagalchik and Jennifer against Natasha. It looks like, it's like Natasha heard me. She played queen e4, queen c4 here, and now we want to bring this knight into play. What's the... Well, actually, should we capture here first? I don't see why not, because it's with check, obviously. You don't have time for any fancy ideas. So we can start with this check. Then we can move the queen, and then this knight can actually come to e5. The only thing the black should be careful about is after capturing the pawn, of course, not to leave the queen there, but just give another check or just move the queen, you know, away from the fourth rank so there's no discovered attack, and then the knight can come in. And black is doing great. So we'll see. We will see about, yeah, Natasha on her way to win this game. Maybe this move can be played too. I mean, you know, as long as the queen is protected and is not staying on a geometrical check queen with a knight, she will be good to go. Okay, so I'm telling you, Olga is the one trying to play for a win. I like how she pushed her a-pawn. And notice she pushed it in such a way that it stayed on a dark square, right? So that white cannot combine the pressure on the pawn with the rook and this bishop, right? So a3. But now we're hoping for white to make a mistake. Hope is nice to have. Rook a6 check, king g5, and if white gives one more check, like I said, this is black's plan. I just wanted to show it. I know it's bad. I made some bad moves for white, but that is black's plan of improvement. As for white, I think I like bishop f3 personally. I really feel that it's nice to get rid of the bishops and get into a rook endgame where black's king is cut off. Would there be any reason for white to move the rook from the a file? No, there's no reason to move the... You shouldn't, because if you do move the rook from the a file, this rook will go to the side, this pawn will push to a2, then that rook will check, you'll move away, and a1, and black promotes. So in rook endgames or any kind of endgames that involve having still rooks on the board as well, the best placement of the rook is behind the pawn. Whether you're the one supporting it forward or you're the one stopping the opponent from advancing the pawn, the best placement is behind it. Second best place is in front of it. Being in front of the pawn, especially if you're the side that's trying to advance the pawn forward, it helps you to advance it all the way to the second rank. That's the max you can actually go with the pawn. And then that rook will move away when you get the chance. But That's why I'm saying rook behind the pawn is the best, because with the rook behind the pawn, I won't have the ability to play a move like this, right? Because I'll lose my pawn. So the only way I'll do it is if you're not keeping your rook behind it. And the worst place, in my opinion, to place the rook in a lot of situations, unless you're really close to promotion and you can actually continue advancing, is to the side of it. The reason for that is, imagine, okay, so like let's just make some like two random moves. Just, you know, forget about that bar, okay, just for me to kind of show you something here. Okay, looking at the position like this, if we didn't have the bishops on the board, it would be very difficult for black to improve this position only with the rook, because the rook cannot be brought here to support the pawn to promote, because this rook would take the pawn. But even if the bishops weren't on the board, black could be winning this position in the following way. The king would advance all the way to b6, chase this rook away, because this rook is cutting black's king off. See, this king cannot advance up with the rook on the 5th rank. So we're going to go all the way here to chase the rook away. The rook would go back, and then the king will be brought all the way to b3 to protect the pawn and free up the rook from the defense of the pawn. Then the rook would go to b1, okay, and then the pawn would be advanced. Now, I've showed so many bad moves that hopefully you just paid attention to my description so that you know the path on how you should be winning in a normal situation when, you know, you actually had that already, not by blundering to get there. So hopefully it made sense. So now here, bishop d5, rook a1 was played, and white is going to try to probably keep the bishop on the diagonal, maybe just, oh, sorry, this is check, but we go king h, or actually I like king f2. I like king f2 because we can go bishop f3, and if the trade happens, that the king can also capture f4. But okay, it depends if white pushes a2 or not, of course. What I realize here, and I want you to know, there is this idea that black can take advantage of. So for example, if in this position is black's turn, right? So in this position after king f2, black plays here, let's say, right? And we go bishop f3. And we take. This is going to be a loss. a2 we can play, and basically once we play a2, we're threatening rook h1, and whenever this pawn is captured by the rook h2, and black wins. So we have to go king g2. This is something you have to remember. The patterns of the rooks have to be remembered. So now how is black going to be able to win? Because here the rook is stuck, you can't move it because we'll take. So how is black going to win? The idea is we're advancing the king there, and then we are slowly coming to grab this pawn, and then we'll go towards that one. And there isn't so much you can do with white. And the reason I was playing with the king back and forth is because if you move it up, black will just check you and promote. If you move it here, black would bring the rook here, and if you take the pawn, we're threatening promotion. Check, and you lose the rook. So this is the path of improvement. We can only sit and wait while black comes. Okay, you can say, but Sabina, I'm protecting the pawn. Sure, you can protect it. No problem. And if I push here, you can say, I'm just sitting back and forth. Okay, no problem. Then I go here, and now you have no moves. If you push, I'll take it. The king. You can take, nope, because we already talked about this, right? So you're going to move your rook somewhere back. We can take this pawn. We don't even need to, but we could take it if we wanted. All these checks are just going to help black to bring in the king, grab that pawn too. And even if we're not grabbing it, for example, in this position, black can just play a move like this, or I don't know, rook d1. You take, I don't know, I put it in d1, but I'm winning anyways. I'm trading the rook. I should have put it in F1. I don't know. Anyways, you take there. And I guess I just want to show this position too, because it's a king and pawn endgame, very important position. Mind squares. Mind, like a mind that, these are the mind squares. Whoever goes on it first loses. So we have with black, this black's turn. So black is going to attract white to go on that square first. So we'll go king e2, attacking this pawn. And if you go here and say, I protect and I attack yours, haha, I'm going to win it. Then you go king e3, and you stepped on that square second, which means white's king has to move away. Once the king moves away, we move the king, bam, 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 and black is winning. If with white in this position you choose to go king g2, then you're going to lose the pawn anyways, and you can say, but Sabina, I am now losing this. You play king takes f3, I take the opposition, and that's it. It's a draw. Nope, it's not a draw. This is called the magical rank. When the pawn is on the 4th rank, anywhere from B to G file, with the kings in opposition, it doesn't matter whose turn it is. The side with the extra pawn is going to win, because now we go to the side, they take the opposition, and we push the pawn. They go here, and then we push f2, and now we get to promote. There's nothing that white can do. There is a little bit of a trick, last minute trap, taking in your chances. Go king h1 and hope for the opponent to rush in this position. You should not give up till the end, especially if there are some potential, chances to get a stalemate, but, So f2, oopsie daisy. This is a draw, right? Stalemate. We do nothing. So in order with black to win in this position, we go king f2 first, okay? Black is winning. You just don't touch the pawn mistakenly, because then you have to admit, or you have to give up half a point. And now you'll be like, oh, wow, that is a long explanation, totally far from the game. I know, that. Sometimes it's nice to do some instructional videos, right? Anyways. Okay. Goody, goody, goody. I hope you guys like that explanation, by the way. I mean, I tried. Some of you might have laughed. You were like, what's going on here? Okay. So what have we had here? So the king went to h2. Bishop f5. Why didn't black take? I'm confused. I don't know. I think black would have taken the pawn. You remember that next game? Great. That is the goal. Okay, bishop f5. This should be a draw. Oh, so draw, win. No. Don't tell me Natasha's gonna take a draw. Natasha, please. Please, you're up a piece. I'm sad. She took a draw! Natasha! Come on, no! Oh. She's being too kind. Natasha is being too kind. She's nervous. I knew she was going to be nervous if the time was going to run low. I knew she would be nervous and consider doing that. She probably didn't find an immediate win, and then she spent a lot of time. Here she had 10 minutes, right? She spent 3 minutes to play this move. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, she can just move the queen anywhere. There's no check, nothing. Just is a hard game. I know, it is hard. It is hard. Oh, she played such a good game. She played a really, really good game. She outplayed her opponent. It was equal, and I think she panicked that that B pawn was going to be pushed, but she can stop at any time with a knight. She probably, I don't know what she was worried about from bringing her knight to e4. Bring the knight, chase this queen away, bring your queen closer, try to checkmate. She was nervous, I'm sure. Oh, okay. It's okay. Good game. Good game anyways. Nice save for Jennifer, I guess. And we have one game remaining, which is this one between Varinia and Olga. So Varinia has one out of three, and Olga is on 2 out of 3 right now. This is the last remaining game of the round, and then the next round starts at 3 p.m. local time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern time. Why is the move a mistake? Mm-hmm. And maybe Olga will be able to win this. If she wins, I think she's the one who's going to be paired against Angelina. She will double black though. She will double black. But I think she's the third highest rated. Or is she the third highest rated? Or maybe she was the fourth. I think she was the fourth highest rated. So she could make it difficult for Angelina to win in the last round. Also, if she wins this game, there's beautiful move find here. C4. You see what happened with white, and of course, it's easy for me to say, but the bishop moved to b3, and now it got locked in by the pawn. So that's a small problem here for white. If you move the bishop anywhere, and we do something like this, and then the oopsie, and then the rook captures, and we go rook b2, then there's rook a2, so we can defend g2, we can defend the second rank, and white is doing great. But because the bishop was moved to b3 and now it got locked in, this is the reason why black now has rook b1. And when you capture in a3, rook b2, and you don't have this move rook a2 because your bishop is hanging. So, and Olga, it looks like she found it instantaneously, plays rook b2, and now she's headed for a win now. Bishop d1, okay, we can capture g2 with the bishop or with the rook. Personally, I'd take with the bishop, I think, but yeah, I think taking with the bishop makes the most sense. Oh. I guess it makes the most sense, but it doesn't mean it's the best. Maybe this is actually really nice. I mean, if you go there, you have this cute mate, of course. But yeah, oh, I thought bishop takes is good, but then it's still two pawns each. But if we take with the rook, you can't go here because we'll have a discover check wherever we want to give a check, check rook. So you have to go king h3 and then rook g1. Like this is really cute. Obviously, you don't need to go there, but where do you go? If you go here, what is the best approach here for black? Because if I check, you go here and you escape. F3 doesn't work. This check, I think it just allows to go back. King g5, maybe? King g5 is a nice move here. And we're threatening mate. And if you check, then we have bishop bishop f5. So would I have to go back? But then how am I winning? I guess we'll see. We'll see. Wait. So rook g1, bishop e2, I said, right? What is the best way to win or not? So why was this so bad? Oh, bishop g4? No. King h2. I have no progress? How's white winning here? Sorry, not white, sorry, black. Can we go here? Nope. I don't see it, my friends. I do not see it. I wish somehow I could just play this move to threaten mate and there's no defense. Is there some bishop move somewhere? Maybe not here to go rook a6. This looks like a puzzle-like study. It makes me upset. I can't find it. King g5, like I said, rook a5, king f6, back. It's one of those zugzwang positions. Okay, no, that just loses, right? This just loses. I wish I could do some kind of triangulation, but like, there's no triangulation here. Do you guys see it? I don't see it. It should be something super cool, like super cute. I know it's something super cute, I just can't. This? No, but he goes bishop f3, I already said that. Like this? Maybe it's just this. So it's not that super cute. There's no mate. We're just winning. Yeah. It's high hex. Yeah. I was just I really wanted the mate. I was looking at this position. I was like, mate, where's the mate? I want the mate. Sad. So sad. There's no mate there. It will come eventually. Yeah. Okay, but after the check, black is headed for a win now because yeah. Oh my goodness. What a game. This is going to be an intense fight until the end. It's going to be super intense because, if Olga wins this, she's going to try to win so that she can share, first place or second place against Angelina. I think, at least. I don't know. I could be wrong. Anything can happen, but if she wins this, she's able to pull through and change an equal position to a win. I mean, that's just brilliant, no? I mean, totally unexpected. Rook h1, it's impossible to stop. She has to give a check. But bishop f5 just seals the deal. I mean, Varinia may continue playing, but there's not so much to do at this point, I think. There's no way to stop rook h1. I mean, okay, there's rook a2, I guess. Or rook a2 is a move, but then we can just take the bishop. Or maybe check first, and then take the bishop. Because is there a mate? I don't know. We can just take it. Wow. Okay. Intense round. I mean, never ending story with the toughness of maintaining the psychology and until the very end. Is regardless of what tournament it is, there's always going to be potential ways to come back regardless of what tournament it is. So okay, rook a5, bishop f5 was played, and now Varinia could continue playing this, but it's not. It is just difficult because the king is stuck on the h file, and this pawn just marches with the help of the king. So black will be able to win the bishop too, and it will be game over. Wow. I did not expect this to happen. This was very intense. I think there's so many unexpected results, like so many of them. How are you guys enjoying this tournament so far? And what do you think is going to happen in the final round with Angelina is going to play against Olga, and I think Chuchanik is going to play against Natalia. And Natalia will have white again, I believe. Because Chuchanik doubled white. So yes, that's gonna be the pairing for the first two boards. Um, so Chuchanik is on 3 out of 4. Angelina was 3.5 out of 4. But Chuchanik doubled the white pieces, and so Natalia is gonna play with the white pieces against Chuchanik, and then Olga is going to play with the black pieces again against Angelina. Two big matchups, and anything can happen actually. Result-wise, considering who's gonna win that. It's gonna be close. It's definitely close. Yeah. Yeah, Angelina still has to fight till the last moment, like to try to take home the first place. They have a really gorgeous trophy, actually. It's so beautiful. I maybe I should take a picture, or maybe I should bring it on stream to show it before it's given. I have not asked for permission to do that, but maybe I should. It's a really beautiful trophy, and yeah. Let's see. The pairings are up, and I was right. My prediction was correct. I'm so good. Thank you very much. Just, but yeah. So that game, this game is probably over. I mean, if the pairings are made, then it probably is over. We have a 15-minute delay, so I don't know how many more moves the players have played here, but as you can tell, Black's king is coming to get that pawn, and even if you don't get it, if somehow the bishop manages to protect it, say you play something like that, and then bishop f7 or something, we can start marching the f pawn, and the game will be shortly over. What an incredible comeback and turnaround, basically, for Olga, due to this tough placement, or badly placement of the bishop there with c4 coming in. It was just too difficult, unfortunately. And yeah, so now, once again, for everyone to know what's going on here, we have 4 players who can technically win the championship. That's woman grandmaster Angelina Belakovskaya, who's on 3.5. And then, like I said, we have Olga Sagalchik, Natalia Tsudikova, and Arapetian Chuchanik. All of them, depending on the results, of course, could finish first or co-champion. But right now we have Angelina in first, so she's had a really good tournament. We'll see if she can take home the championship, the U.S. Women's Senior Championship this year. It's going to be an intense battle, and she does have the white pieces, and she has played quite aggressive with the white pieces, but cautious too, like aggressively cautious, not making too many weaknesses. It's been a great tournament for her so far. So we'll see. Yeah. Well, guys, what can I say? How much longer is this game gonna last is the question. The players will play in about 50 minutes, but I'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which is 3 p.m. here, local time. So I certainly hope you will be back. I will be taking a break as soon as this game is over. I will, finish the stream, go get some lunch, and then I'll be back with the final round. And I'm excited to see who will win. I know you guys are saying it's going to be close, but the question is, are you rooting for either one of the players or not? You're waiting. You're waiting for Sabina to say whom she's rooting for. I'm not going to say that on stream. I need to be impartial, totally impartial. Not rooting. I'm rooting for a good game. So, like, maybe with some interesting plans or tactical ideas, regardless of who's gonna win, because you know, it's just nice to be able to talk about interesting positions. There might be still some kind of positions that I'm not the best at, so we want something that I can talk a lot about. I'll find out. I'll figure out something either way, but yeah. So bishop e2, king e3, I think, or rook c3. I don't know what's the best, what's the fastest. King e3 I would play. King e3, king f2, f3, rook g2, king g1. I don't know. Pre-move king e3. I should guess. The funniest thing would be if actually one of the players would just bring me the game and I just start guessing all the right moves. That would be cheating. No, that's not happening. But the games are over, actually, guys. It's, I don't know exactly what time they finished, but I do know that they have the pairings already, and I was right. That's all I know.